All right, you're very welcome along to the football kickoff with Sky. Every Friday we're going to talk about the best 5 games on telly this weekend. The football kickoff is with Sky. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sport. And I'm delighted to welcome Simon Cox to the show. Simon, good afternoon to you. Good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to this weekend of football. Actually, Colm Boohig also with us in studio. We're going to get straight into this. We were asking the question of our listeners and viewers, is Ralph Rangnick a good appointment for Man United? I'm going to get your opinion first on this, Simon. It was a bit left field, but it looks like Manchester United are finally trying something different than just going for the biggest available name.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you got to remember, this is somebody who was linked with the West Bromwich Albion job as well. A good few years back, I think leading up to the Euros 2012, he was linked with that job. So, you know, you can see how much he's learned, he's gone away, he's obviously done some really good things. And I just find it a very strange appointment, interim, to then go and appoint somebody later on. So, I mean, listen, I think it'll be something that we'll have to wait and see how well he does. But no, I think it's a left field appointment, and I guess watch this space really with him.
Yeah, it's hard to know immediately how he's going to gel well with the current squad and what role he's going to have in picking his successor and what relationship he's going to have with his successor, given that there's a couple of other high-profile people in the football side of the club who apparently have appointed him. So what the hierarchy is and who's actually in charge into the future is going to be very interesting, you know?
Yeah, and I think, you know, it will all depend as well what happens to him after, whether he goes upstairs, because he's obviously somebody who changes the way the football clubs that he's been at run. So whether he then goes from, you know, touchline to boardroom level and sort of creates the off-field stuff and makes it a better run club than what it is at the minute.
Yeah, very interesting to see how that all works out. 85% of our watchers and listeners this morning saying that this is a positive move. Colm, you're our resident Manchester United fan.
What were they doing until now, Manchester United? I mean, this is the first time the club has had a plan for 8 years.
And do they have a plan?
Yeah, it's a plan. It is a plan.
What's the plan?
It doesn't have to be a great plan yet, but it's a good plan to start with.
So Mick's going to take us to the Euros and Stephen Kenny's going to take us after that. It's like, it's a plan.
I knew you were going to say this. I knew you were going to say this today.
Well, I mean,
I knew you were going to bring this up
okay,
today.
so
right.
prove me what.
Well, okay, right.
So you've thought about that then?
I have thought about it.
That was literally the first time I was like, I see. Like, go on.
No, I really thought you would have thought about it beforehand. But right, think about it now. 6 months in the job, right, till the end of the season.
Finish 6th, eh?
The lads get to Proud Europe. Like, oh, who could take over the job? Who would work well with Ralph? Because Ralph's going to be sporting director for the following 2 years, right?
Is he? Definitely?
I would think so.
And
because he wouldn't have joined just
Fletcher
for
doing?
6 months and then a consultancy role. Fletcher will learn under Rangnick, and then 2 years after that, Fletcher could go more senior.
Okay,
now,
so it's Game of Thrones, right?
What will be interesting is Maurizio Pochettino, for me, is the man to take the United job full time. I'm wondering, will Pochettino work under someone, Rangnick, who demands control? And if you give him autonomy to the fullest capacity, he brings success. Hoffenheim, Leipzig, all the Red Bulls, actually. Will Pochettino accept that? The other thing that could happen, right, and bear with me with this, is Ralph Hasenhüttl did work for Rangnick before. He could potentially move to Manchester United next summer, and people will laugh at that because he's in charge of the struggling Southampton side. But it's actually the right framework. Rangnick runs it, and Hasenhüttl is the day-to-day.
And Cristiano Ronaldo for Hasenhüttl next season, how's that going to work?
I mean, I think Cristiano Ronaldo's going to leave next summer. I don't think he's going to gegenpress, really, it was mid to late 30s.
What's he going to do for the rest of the year then?
I think they're still going to play him because he is still... I mean, it's the greatest... it's the greatest conundrum. I don't know what you think, Simon, but it's the greatest conundrum of, like, Ronaldo's biggest strength is his goals. His biggest weakness is his lack of movement. So which do you go for? For me, you go for the former. I don't know what you think, Simon.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're saying that Pochettino is the right man for the job, and if you looked at the PSG front three the other night, it was they weren't exactly hard working themselves. So if Pochettino comes in and Ronaldo's still there, he's going to have somebody that probably does exactly the same. So, but I mean, listen, his goals speak for itself, and he's obviously a born winner. So, but I mean, I'll just go back to your point about Ralph Hasenhüttl. I mean, is that the right appointment? Would you really want that as a Man United fan? Would you want somebody like him to come through the door? You kind of want biggest sporting club in the world, pretty much, Manchester United. Do you not go out and get somebody who's a born winner?
Oh, Simon, number one choice is Maurizio Pochettino, but I'm just thinking that Hasenhüttl isn't as bizarre as people might think, because he's used to working under that framework. And Manchester United as a club, as an entity, need to change on the pitch. They need a radical overhaul, because they've had two successful managers in their history, Matt Busby and Alex Ferguson. They're two offs, basically. They can't be replicated. So we do have to start some sort of philosophy, and that's why I think it would be a plan B. For me, it would be Pochettino. But will he work under Rangnick?
Yeah, I think Pochettino's the right man. I think he's... you look at some of the stuff he played when he was manager of Spurs, and he got them to, well, obviously the Champions League final, but fell short just at the final hurdle. But I think he's the right man. But do you leave PSG to go to Man United at the minute? I don't know.
Yes.
It's hard to know. It is hard to know, because there might be more long-term security there. There might be less excitement for a while. It might be a harder job. Who knows? Certainly you're not going to win the league by 10, 12 points the way he will this season with Paris Saint-Germain. Let's talk about the fixtures this weekend, because obviously Manchester United feature in the 5 that we've picked. The first game of the weekend that we're going to come back to, Arsenal Newcastle, is 12:30 tomorrow, live on BT Sport. The 3 o'clock kickoff we're talking about is Liverpool against Southampton. We've completely screwed this one up. We should have done Villa versus Palace, which would have been the two great midfielders, or two of the great midfielders of the generation against each other. But instead, by virtue of the popular vote, Liverpool against Southampton, 3 o'clock live on Premier Sport. Brighton versus Leeds is 5:30. Big game for Leeds now, given their current form. That's live on Sky on Saturday at 5:30. On Sunday, the two games: Manchester City versus West Ham, 2 o'clock on Sunday, live on Off the Ball, and Chelsea versus Manchester United at 4:30 on Sunday is live on Sky and on Off the Ball as well. At the moment, the way Chelsea are playing, this fixture represents a big threat for Manchester United. There's a possibility, Simon, that they get absolutely spanked at the weekend, isn't there?
Big chance. I think with Lukaku back as well for Chelsea, I mean, they just seem to be going from strength to strength. And it's really a no-win for Man United, really. No one's expecting them to win. No one's expecting them to get a point, really. So Chelsea just, if you're looking at it, possibly just need to turn up and win the game, which is what they've been doing, steamrolling teams so far this year. Manchester United, I just don't see them getting a result this weekend, even off the back of the result they had in midweek.
Ironically, Colm, the best performances in the Solskjaer era came when they were backs against the wall against teams who were technically superior to them, who seemed to be able to outgun them. But that was before he had to shoehorn several players who aren't pressing or fast into the team. Is there a way that he can win this game? Does he drop Ronaldo for this game and bring him on as a second half substitute?
Oh, Michael Carrick?
Yeah.
No, he won't. He's not going to do that.
Why not?
You know he's not going to drop Cristiano Ronaldo against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And I would go the opposite of Simon. I would say this is a win-win for United, because this is probably one of the few games in modern history that the result isn't absolutely massive, because the next day the new era starts. So Carrick can leave on a high. If it's a disastrous game, which obviously as a United fan I hope it's not, if Chelsea annihilate United, at least then Rangnick's watching saying, okay, I have a lot of work to do here. Let's start this blueprint
he knows
tomorrow.
That already. Right?
I know, yeah, but I mean, there's another example.
Anyway.
Yeah. There's another example. So obviously I don't want it to be annihilated, but it's the start of a new era next Monday, and this is the last holiday that United were going to have for a long time.
It's not a holiday, though. It's Chelsea who are in really good form at the moment, and they've some injury concerns, and that squad is going to start to see a little bit of stress, even like at the incredible level that they have. So give me a prediction for this.
2-2.
Simon, give me your prediction.
3-0 Chelsea.
That sounds much more like it. That definitely sounds much more like it. Right, so Arsenal Newcastle is tomorrow at 12:30. We expect that Eddie Howe, post-COVID, will be in the dugout for this. 3 or 4 weeks ago, you would have said this is a get-right fixture for Arsenal. It's an opportunity for them to recover from the absolute pacing that they took at the hands of Liverpool. Before that, they had been on their best run of the Mikel Arteta era, and it looked like he was starting to get more right than wrong. In some ways, I'm actually willing to give them a pass for the Liverpool game, because so many teams are going to feel that, and the wrath of Liverpool, particularly when they play the way they did. So I don't know. I actually don't know what to expect from Arsenal. But if they show up and they perform, Simon, they should win this game, because still Newcastle, they haven't been able to make any changes. They the same playing staff who were just bad under Steve Bruce, and Eddie Howe can't just fix that, can he?
No, but the one thing he does need to change is the defence, and he needs to get them more solid with clean sheets, possibly. I mean, I can see this being a very narrow win for Arsenal, but I can see it being a better performance by Newcastle. I just see this. Arsenal having a little bit too much firepower. Aubameyang's in decent form. Lacazette showing good form. Emil Smith-Rowe, very exciting right now. Saka, I think it's just a front four of exciting talent for Arsenal at the minute. But Newcastle, they just need to. I think they need to get to January quicker than everybody else, and try and reshuffle the pack and bring a couple in and just make sure that they can stay in the division.
In American football, they talk about the contract year. Lacazette is in a contract year at the moment. Is that why we're seeing an uptick in form, where he knows 6 good months of football is going to see him very, very rich for the next 3 seasons?
Possibly. I think Aubameyang was a very similar one, and then they gave him the big contract, and then all of a sudden his form dipped. But under Arteta, I think they've got him playing a little bit differently. He's working obviously a lot harder. But I've always liked Lacazette. I think he works really hard. I think he pops up with good goals as well, and important goals in big games, and he shows a lot of his work rate for the team, which not a lot of people possibly see too much of him.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the half-12 kickoff. How does that work for the body clock? Because we see some weird results for the half-12 kickoff sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great having pasta at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll be honest, but it's listen, they'll be used to that, no problem. But strange results can happen really early on, and it might be the kick that Newcastle need. Eddie Howe, as you said, is looking like he's going to be in the dugout, so his first game in the dugout for the team, and that might just spur them on. Like I say, I think it could be a narrow victory for Arsenal, but it'll be a better performance for Newcastle. Yeah,
it's quite a lot of mounds of jiggly flesh that we're expecting from the Newcastle fans. It's a weird trip for them to have to make up at like 2 a.m. to get there in time to make kick-off.
Yeah, and it's one of those guaranteed Premier League results in history that Arsenal always beat Newcastle at home.
2-0, 3-0.
The last, since they came back up Newcastle in 2017, I think they've lost an aggregate 10-0 at the Emirates. So
not bad.
This is a gimme.
And do you think it's still going to be a gimme even the way...
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, Arsenal are actually very good against the weaker sides. They're the opposite to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United. They got hammered by Chelsea, Manchester City and Liverpool this season. Other than the Brentford result of the first day of the season, they've been pretty good against the weaker sides. No-brainer, I'd say. All
right. The football kick-off with Sky. We're live every Friday at around about this time. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sport. We're going to go through 5 of the best games that are being televised. We've already talked obviously about Chelsea, Man United. Let's move to Liverpool against Southampton. Again, the one thing about Liverpool is that their heights are as good as anything that we've seen in a long time. But there have been moments where, the Brighton game for example, you think the game is done and dusted, but their defence has just been a little bit flaky, or they've become a little bit complacent. What's behind this, Simon? Why have they been inconsistent in some of these league games against lesser opposition particularly?
I don't know. I think West Ham more so is, you look at the way that they're playing at the minute, so they're in good form and they're sort of rolling that roller coaster of having good results. So was probably a tougher game. The Brighton game, I think it just showed that they were lazy in their mind, going from 2-0 up and drawing the game 2-2. So they just probably switched off a little bit in that game. But I don't think that'll happen again this week, although be it Southampton are in decent form. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat in their last 5 games. But I mean, it's a tough ask to stop probably the best front 3 in world football at the minute. So I see this being a pretty comfortable result for Liverpool, being honest.
Okay, it's hard to disagree, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ralph Hasenhüttl will be distracted by the future Man United job anyway. So how's he going to focus on this game? You know what I mean? Simon, I was wondering, do you think this is the best iteration of Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, or was the team that won the Premier League better? Because they're very strong this season.
very strongly. I think the depth that they've got this year, with the resurgence of, or the depth of like Curtis Jones, and I know Harvey Elliott started the season, but he's injured at the minute. But just even things like Minamino coming on the other night and scoring, they just seem to have that that class around them this season again, where some of the football that they're playing is very good. They've got players at the top of their game again, which is great. And even Firmino out injured, Jota, just looks unstoppable at the minute. And even Mane was a little bit off the ball last year in terms of goals, but this year he's picked up again. And listen, Salah does what he does normally. So, it's been a better season, I think, this year, because there's other teams around them that are sort of up in the levels as well. So I think when Liverpool won the league, they sort of steamrolled it a little bit, and when City were having a bit of a bad time, whereas this year you got City, Chelsea, Liverpool all sort of fighting it out between themselves.
What do you think?
I don't think they're as strong as they were.
Why?
I think they're too reliant on Salah.
I would say that you are reliant on Salah because he's like...
No, it's a good thing to be reliant on, yeah.
Messi levels. The only thing I would say that is different between the year that they steamrolled everybody is that Virgil was in the conversation for like World Player of the Year. If you wanted to stretch it, you could easily make the case. Just at the moment, he's not back to that level. He hasn't recovered post-injury to the level that he was at before. And Alisson also looks a little bit like, some days I'm just going to get beaten at a cross for a corner and complain about the tackle on me. Whereas actually, you're a big lad, you can push them out of the way, and you'll get away with actually pushing them out of the way. So their form is like a few percentage points back from where it was when they were killing everybody.
Well, with Alisson, you're talking about the West Ham match there, really. I mean, he's still one of the best goalkeepers in the world by far.
Was there not? Did he not throw it out to one of the strikers midweek and get away with it?
We're just talking about Premier League.
Well, there you go.
I just think that, like, in terms of they're better this year as a collective. That I don't think they're as reliant on Salah this year. I think he's turned it around this year in terms of being a bit more of a team player.
Yeah,
he's got a lot more assists this season than he probably did in the season that they won the Premier League. Matip is in great form because Van Dijk isn't at the level probably he was pre-injury.
But even Tsimikas coming into the team Tsimikas looks decent, right? Whereas it was like
a great backup to Robertson. Do you know what I mean? So this is where I think they're a little bit more strength in depth this year. They're not reliant on the 11 that won the league pretty much. This year they've got people who can come in, even like Nico Williams has played it during midweek, is a decent person to have on the odd occasions here and there.
Let's see how they get on, and if they start winning these games routinely now over the rest of the season, it's going to be very interesting because it'll be very difficult to stop them, and those big games against the other teams in the top three in particular are going to count for a lot. Brighton against Leeds kicks off at 5:30 on Saturday evening. Brighton's form has actually been a bit patchier than maybe people give credit for. Like, they were absolutely brilliant and then that kind of disappeared for over the last while.
Yeah, it was the Liverpool game. It was really, really impressive. It's a really impressive performance at Anfield. But since then, they've kind of gone off a cliff. And I think you're right. I think people assume that they're doing better than they are because Graham Potter is doing such good stuff with them as a structural team. They're much, much better. They're much greater than some of their parts. They don't really have any superstars. Trossard's a very good player. But they're kind of struggling for wins, aren't they? They're not ruthless. And there's a lot of teams in the Premier League that struggle with a lack of cutting edge in the final third. And Brighton are very much one of those teams.
What's going to happen this weekend?
I think that's a 0-0 draw.
All right.
Yeah.
Simon?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, no wins in 6 for Brighton, and Leeds are struggling for that second season in the Premier League, and Leeds are actually my tip at the start of the season to go down. I've
really
didn't see them. Leeds.
Yeah, why?
I just think that they the first season they came up, they played that high energy, run everywhere, run over people, follow everyone everywhere on the pitch kind of football. And Bamford was scoring goals. This year they've had a lot of injuries. Teams have worked them out. They've been able to sort of They've come unstuck in a lot of games this year, and they're not scoring any goals. And I just see them really, really struggling this year.
Okay, and look, that was a brilliant prediction. You still think they're going to go down because they're very, very close to it now, and all they need is one of those three teams below them to go on a bit of a run.
Well, that's where the likes of Newcastle getting to January is going to be massive, because I don't see Leeds going out and spending, 30, 40, 50 million on players to keep them in the league. I think they're quite methodical in the way they go about their business, whereas Newcastle can go out and spend 40, 50 million on players and try and turn it around. Whereas I think Norwich are probably gone. And then it's 2 from about 5, I think, at the bottom there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Brentford got sucked back into it either. So Man City against West Ham is the first of the 2 Sunday games. The second of the Sunday games, we've already talked about Chelsea against Man United. Man City against West Ham at the start of the season, you would have penciled in a routine victory, notwithstanding the fact that West Ham had made some progress. But West Ham under Moyes is one of the stories of the season, and it is because they've played well in these big games as well, Simon. So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if they were to smash their way to a draw here.
No, I wouldn't either, but I think that at City is a little bit different to being at the London Stadium. So I just see this, if Foden is back playing, obviously he had a injury or rest or whatever it was during the week. But I just see City. This would be a test for West Ham. This would be, I know they sort of beat Liverpool, but I just see this being the next test for them. To see if they are a bit of the real deal this year. They are the sort of Leicester of years gone by where they've overachieved. And if this is, if they are the real deal, then they'll get something from this. If they don't, then it will just be the routine result that everybody probably expects.
Yeah, they should definitely be trying to dream of finishing 4th. That's what it's not beyond the bounds of possibility this season, given all the mess that's happening around Manchester United.
Well, they're there now, but the problem is we're only in November. People get very excited this time of year. There's a lot of the season left.
Yeah.
I would say 5th or 6th is an unbelievable performance by West Ham, and I'm delighted for David Moyes too.
It is. It's a transformative moment for that team to get into the Champions League. Because
huge. But I don't think they will.
Then you can start signing players, and you can keep Declan Rice.
Well, but even if they continue the way they are in the Europa League, it's a big thing for them. But finishing top 4, top 5 in the Premier League is going to be a massive thing for them. And obviously they've had the new investment as well, so that might be interesting to see what they do in January if they're able to bring in players. Yeah,
and Moyes' transfer record with West Ham is excellent so far. They've had far more hits than misses, so fair play to them on that point. At the same time, it sounds like you're both predicting a win for City here.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Easy peasy.
All right, every week we're going to give you on Instagram an opportunity to choose your 5-a-side made up of the players competing in some of our selected games. This week we messed up and pitched Liverpool's Van Dijk against Crystal Palace's Mark Guehi rather than a Southampton defender, so it was pretty one-sided, I suspect, when the vote came to that one. Aaron Ramsdale versus Carl Darlow. This was our poll, and Ramsdale won. Van Dijk obviously in a landslide. We had Pascal Gross versus Matthias Klitsch. Klitsch won that one. Gundogan versus Declan Rice. Gundogan just shades it. I think that's an interesting competition at the moment, right? And then it's Rashford versus Colm Hudson-Odoi. Rashford also edging it. That's just a factor of the fact that we've got more Man United fans. We find that anytime we put Declan Rice in a poll, Simon,
he doesnn't win.
he doesn't do very well for some reason.
Why? Yeah, I can imagine why.
Yeah. So tell me, how good is Declan Rice compared to somebody like Gundogan at the moment? I know they're very, very different players, but Rodri maybe is a better comparison. What level is he actually at the moment? He's not
at Rodri's level, is he? But he is a very good player, and he's gone from strength to strength. I actually didn't see what all the fuss was about until about a season ago, where he started to dictate games and just break up play, and he has that knack of being in the right place to break up play, which is what he's in the team to do. Really, he's not in the team to create anything, and similar to sort of Rodri, although the goal he scored the other night was ridiculous. But he's there to break up play and give it to the front players, and but he is a good player, and he deserves to go up to the next level. But obviously at the minute, would you be at Man United or West Ham at the minute? I don't know, but just on position in the table. But I just see him not being at West Ham for very much longer.
No, and he's the type of player who would transform Man United. They could suddenly have a little bit more faith in their defence, and the forwards could feel like they're free to go.
Yeah, I mean, is he not the best player in the league in that position? I mean, I would say he is.
So you would have him ahead of...
You'd have him over Rodri?
Oh yeah, I mean, Rodri scored an unbelievable goal last week, and I think his percentage points of popularity have gone up about 10 as a result of the great goal. But I would all day long have Declan Rice.
Would you?
Oh yeah. Well, why would you have Rodri over Rice?
Do the Wisecout comparison for us this week, and come back to us next week and tell us exactly how they get on, because it feels like it's an instinct thing, right? You're not basing that off.
I just see that Rodri he does a lot more for the team in terms of like he gets the attack started. He's able to break up the play a lot. Listen, in Man City's team, it's probably a lot easier to play this sort of free flowing keep ball football that they want to. But
you'd have him also over Kante. You'd have him also over Fabinho.
Rodri?
Oh, no, well, Declan Rice. Colm here saying that he'd have him as the best player in the league in that position. So he's ahead of Fabinho. He's ahead of...
Fabinho's injured a lot.
Not for me. I think he's sort of next bracket down. He's probably not in the top bracket yet. But if he goes to a better club, then
I see what Colm's doing here. He's preparing the way for when he arrives at Manchester United. We're saying we've got the best player in the league here. That's what it is.
Age profile. Injury profile, it's really good.
The age profile isn't today, right? Today you said he's the best player in the league in that position right now. The age profile isn't actually part of that.
I would say
that's potential. When
Manchester United signed Roy Keane from Nottingham Forest, age profile, he could very much become the absolute dominant midfielder in the league. And I'm not saying Rice is in Keane's category. I'm not even saying Rice is as good a player as Rodri.
That's what that was.
Or Kante, or Fabinho, but I'd have him over all of them.
All right. On that note, Simon Cox, good stuff. Thanks a million for joining us. Cheers.
Cheers, Simon.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
That's the football kickoff with Sky, live at 10:30 every Friday, right here on all the OTB channels. All the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sport. We'll see you next week. Take care.
The football kickoff
with Sky. Watch every single live Premier League game on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.